Hi, I'm Cautex, and this video is a condensed version of my upcoming 9.1 ARMS guide. This video is intended for people who are already comfortable with playing ARMS and are just looking to know what's new or different in 9.1. So, let's get started. When 9.1 goes live, ARMS is receiving a 10% buff to the damage of Mortal Strike, Deep Wounds, Overpower, and Execute. This buff only applies in PvE, and the 10% Execute buff does not apply to Condemn. Based on my analysis, this is going to result in an overall DPS increase of around 2.5% for Venthyr warriors and about 4.5% for all the other covenants. Despite these buffs, the ARMS playstyle and rotation have not meaningfully changed in 9.1, nor have the general reasons they pick a given covenant. What has changed is how compelling those reasons are. So, let's talk about that. Towards the end of 9.0.5, Knife Fae started to overtake Venthyr in terms of single target DPS, and in 9.1, that gap will be widened. While Venthyr is no longer the highest single target DPS for ARMS, its damage profile still makes it a strong choice for progression rating. On single target encounters with extended condemn phases, Venthyr is going to shine. Now, what's unclear is whether or not the encounters in Sanctum of Domination are going to be tuned such that you'll be in condemn range long enough to make it worth being Venthyr. If you do plan on raiding as Venthyr, then you're going to want to be using Signet of Tormented Kings as your legendary, as the ARMS version of Sinful Surge is just simply not as strong as the Fury version. As previously mentioned, Knife Fae is currently the top single target DPS option for ARMS in 9.0.5, and that looks to be continuing in 9.1. If you're already playing Knife Fae, then not much is changing. You're still going to be using the Enduring Blow legendary, and you're still going to be speccing into Rend. One thing to look out for, though, when you're simming yourself in 9.1 is that the Knife Fae legendary Nature's Fury is a bit of a sim trap. On paper, it does nearly the same DPS as Enduring Blow, but this is assuming that your target never moves out of your Ancient Aftershock ground effect. From what I've experienced and seen of PTR testing of the raid encounters in Sanctum of Domination, most of these encounters are going to have movement that's going to reduce the actual value provided by this legendary. One thing to note is that because of how Naya's final Soulbind trait works, in raids the optimal thing to do is to find one other melee player who is not Night Fae, and then both of you are going to stand on top of each other away from the other melee, so that you can consistently get the extra mastery bonus. Necrolord provides the most net raid DPS at the cost of doing less personal DPS. As with Night Fae, the best legendary choice for Necrolord is to run Enduring Blow, and this is because it provides more DPS than what is gained by having an additional person receiving the banner buff if you were to run the Necrolord legendary called Glory. It's also worth noting that the new Capstone Soulbind trait for Emily also makes Fleshcraft do damage, making it far less punishing on your DPS to use as a survivability cooldown. Just like in 9.0.5, Kyrian is still obviously a strong choice for PvP due to all of the utility that the Covenant provides. However, the new Kyrian legendary, Elysian Might, which doubles the length of the Spirit Bastion ground effect to 8 seconds and increases your crit damage while you stand in it, has the potential to carve out a new niche for going Kyrian as an arms warrior. This new legendary, combined with the new Mika Nico's Capstone Soulbind trait, which adds more damage to your Spirit Bastion and reduces its cooldown, have the potential to make Kyrian outperform Night Fae in Mythic Plus. Now, even if it does less DPS than Night Fae in Mythic Plus, having a strong AoE DPS cooldown that lines up nicely with your Colossus Smash and has an 8-second root effect to it was incredibly fun to play with on the PTR, so there's a lot of value in this, even if the damage is lower. In 9.1, the Sanctum of Domination raid will be dropping gear that has Domination sockets. In these sockets, you can place what are called Domination Shards. There are 9 different shards, broken up into 3 types: Frost, Blood, and Unholy. Each of these types will have 1 damage shard, 1 healing shard, and 1 defensive shard. If you socket all 3 shards of a given type, you will get a set bonus. I promise that this sounds way more complicated than it actually is. Long story short, you should be looking to get the Unholy Shard set bonus, which basically gives you the Shadowmoor legendary effect, meaning that it provides you with a stacking strength buff that once it reaches maximum stacks will explode, doing AoE damage that give you a strength buff for a while. And that's it. That's all of the information that I think is critical to understand as an arms warrior going into 9.1. I hope that this guide was helpful for you. If you think my analysis is wrong, then I encourage you to tell me why my opinions are dumb in the comments. If you have any questions, then I will do my best to answer all of them. If you're looking for a more in-depth arms guide, that video should be coming out in the near future. There are also videos on my channel where I specifically analyzed each of the warrior relevant changes coming in 9.1, and I've got a lot of other stuff in the pipeline. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and subscribe for more.